All right, we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our late night impromptu live stream. This is Terry White with Adobe Creative Resident Aundre Larrow.
Also known as Past Terry. I've come here from the future to speak to you about Terry things from the past.
What are you going to speak to us about?
Oh, so many things.
So many things?
Civil rights movement.
Am I that old?
What did they not know?
Am I that old? Really?
They used to think, I don't know, climate change.
Climate change, yes. The hoax.
I'm gonna tell you what stocks to invest in.
Oh,
early,
please, yes,
so
do that.
Just insanely rich.
My younger me. So,
and it's difficult
so what
though,
should
because if I tell you this, then you'll never become a streamer again. You'll just become like an independent, amazing entrepreneur, just blessing the world with your presence.
But I'm okay with that.
Okay. Are you guys okay with seeing Terry go away? That would make us all sad. No, but I am thrilled to be on this. I have learned a lot about Terry. I didn't know he existed before I was a creative resident because I also don't use the internet the same way.
It's just sad.
But now I know that Terry is a Photoshop legend and Lightroom legend, and I'm just trying to be a little bit of that.
All right, that's your camera, by the way.
Oh, sorry, it's over there. Sorry, I'm just trying to be a little bit of that. So I want to take some time today, to just say how excited I was to be on the program, but also talk about the residency because the application will be out in January.
So that's a good question.
Oh,
tell us about what is Adobe Creative Residency? What is it?
First of all, you get paid to hang out with Terry. I'm serious, like what? I'm in Atlanta.
I'm sure that wasn't in the job
right.
description. That was not in the description at all.
No. So the residency is a way for Adobe to give back to the creative community. So, in my opinion, since Adobe has launched Cloud, they've really done, or Creative Cloud, they've done a lot of things to kind of step up how they are active in the creative community. Like besides, like, yeah, it was great when we used to get, I mean, actually, I don't know, I wasn't old enough, but I assume it was great when you used to buy the new Photoshop or Lightroom or whatever, and it would be in the box.
Yeah, there was an actual box.
Tell me about it for a second.
And sometimes there would be a book, and the book kept getting smaller and smaller, and then there was just a DVD and smaller box. Back in the day.
But it was really cool, and like there was a silent pact that creatives had where it was like, I use this, you use this, and we can bond over it. But, you know, as the internet has grown, the ability to have Creative Cloud, you know, help you with stock, help you really like kind of get into the cracks of what makes it easier for us to be creatives. I think that the residency is the next evolution of that, in that they're taking some of that money that they've made with our great products and then saying, we're going to help some emerging creatives really kind of accelerate their growth. Mike Chambers likes to say in 3 years' time in a year.
Yep.
So there's 6 of us total. I'm just one. And
6 creative residents. So
creative
where are you
total.
based?
We're based all over the place. So we have 2 residents in Germany. We have the lovely Julia Nimke and Rosa Kammermeer. Julia, like me, is a photographer. Rosa is a hand letterer. And I'm saying all this just so you can understand that when the applications come out in January, as long as you are creative and you can back that work up, you can apply. We've had residents that Craig did these beautiful ghost projections where he would illustrate old signs and then project them onto buildings. Natalie this year is a UI UX designer, and she's working with XD. Chelsea makes these really beautiful illustrations and then puts them directly on skateboards and makes skateboards and longboards. And Jessica does these really cool information graphics to help people understand how to better their community.
So I heard photographer, hand letterer, graphic designer,
yeah,
infographics, and did I miss one?
Anyone
doing motion graphics or video this time?
Jessica does motion graphics, so she's been learning.
Okay, cool. So you guys kind of cover the spectrum then.
Yeah, and the spectrum is cool. I mean it, like, of all of the residents. It's funny that I get to talk about them right now, but their work is awesome, so please take the time to look at it. But basically the way the residency works is when the applications come out, they reach out to you, either you reach out or you see an ad or somehow you find out about it and you have this time to apply. And you basically are encouraged to write a business proposal for a project you want to work on. It could be a project that maybe you've worked on a little bit and you need more backing for, or just the concept of an infrastructure. It's almost the idea of like a lot of really great basketball players make a huge jump when they're in high school or when they're in college or when they're in the NBA because you all of a sudden are in a system that's built for you to succeed.
Now, if I want to apply to become cool like you and a creative resident, do I need to like be a working designer, photographer, whatever? Can I be a student? Can I be just out of school? Like, so how does that work?
My first understanding is I'm pretty sure you have to be 18. So
18 and older.
Go ahead and jump that. And second, Natalie applied for it when she was still in school, and when she started, she was still a senior. She graduated like a couple weeks into the residency. So my understanding is that you can be of any age. You just have to be on that cusp of emerging, like not insanely established. So Terry wouldn't really work for that because, as you guys know, Terry's a big deal. But the basic thing is that you have to be on that emerging spectrum. You have to have some work and worked on some things and demonstrated the ability to work on your stuff. But it's less about age, and I think it's not necessarily about how if you're in school or not. I think it's about what you can produce.
All right. So we're going to switch gears in a second. You're going to start showing some work, but let me get to some of the questions that are already in the chat. There are already things in here. So we're doing a dual stream here. So we're on YouTube. I see. So is that Madhu Shri? I want to apply for the residency too. Well, we certainly welcome your application.
Yes.
And Joy, hello in Bangladesh. Wow, you're all the way over from Bangladesh. Welcome. Welcome, Victoria, and welcome everyone else I see over there on YouTube, Jonathan as well. And on the Facebook side, lots of comments. So Kay Chen is here and is happy to see us both. And Kai is asking about, I think he said something about 32-bit in Photoshop. When are we getting that back? And that sounds more like a bug request fix or feature request. And we're not doing that today, but I will note that and put that, actually you noted it in the chat, but we will certainly pass that on to the Photoshop team so we can get that back in Camera Raw. All right, so you want to talk about ON1? Well, ON1's a great company that makes plugins and their own software. They're like their competitor, but so we don't really have a lot to talk about with ON1, but yeah, ON1. Nice. All right, what else? You learned a few things. Great. Glad you learned from my tutorials. And I think that's pretty much it. Welcome, Rick. I see Rick join. You got someone else?
Madhu asked, how do I apply for the residency?
Is there a site? Hang on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I can pull it up.
You want to pull that up? Okay. Pull up the Career Residency site. We'll switch you over to that in just a second.
So while we're doing that, I'm just going to...
Yeah, watch the corners. The corners do weird things.
Oh, boy. That's all right.
He's on my computer, so he's like not aware of my hot corners.
Hot corners are the true key to happiness.
Yes. All right. So while we're waiting for him to pull up that site, gain or loss of market. Again, Kai, here, I'm not going to give you a competitive landscape. We're happy with our business. I'm sure they're happy with theirs. So that sounds like a question.
Terry's out here blessing people
right,
with knowledge.
Might want to take that up with them. We're happy. Let's see. All right. Got it?
So
hang on, switch you over so you can see it. All right, so this is the Creative Residency website, which is adobe.com/literally about.
I think there's
there's got to be a shortcut.
There's a shorter one.
Oh no, go back. I saw it. One more. Oh, I just saw it.
I think it was over here. There was one that was shorter.
Well, just Google Adobe Creative Residency and you'll get the how to apply.
So.
Oh, that was the link. That one. What does that do? Nope, this one. Oh, that's not a link. Okay.
So just to touch on stuff, these are the lovely ladies I told you about. I am the only male. I'm very, very lucky. Jessica does information graphics. Like I told you, Chelsea makes great longboards and skateboards. That's me. Rosa does hand lettering. That is me.
Did you take that picture?
I didn't. Even though I wish I could. Julia does really excellent work about all about Europe. So she drives through Europe and does folktales. Natalie does UI UX, and when the residency applications come out in January, you'll see a video and a description of everything. But basically, the things that I would say, how do you apply, is first, I try to write it like a business proposal. You want the Adobe people to see that you're taking this seriously, and that it's something that, like, if you can write a proposal, that's the first step in you being able to execute something. So, like, that means, if you have a project that's something as small as, like, I want to take portraits of kids in lower income areas and then have them describe their surroundings and then use, like, population data to just guess what their average, like, life is going to look like in a couple years. Whatever. Let's say something small like that. Okay. So the bad way to do that would be just to say, oh, these are the impacts of this, whatever. You write 2 sentences and send it off. Another bad thing to say would just be writing this intense amount of stuff and not really honing in what is important. So if your project is about this data, then you can go ahead and show, okay, so I've made, like, let's look at Jessica's. I've made specific infographics before that displayed why this is important to me and how my art can grow that way, just like you do with anything else you care about. You take that, and then you mix that with your past work and examples of it, and you make sure that your residency application is like a business proposal. So it's point for point describing not only what Adobe products you'll use, what you hope to learn. I know that one thing that they mentioned to me a lot when we were interviewing is, you know, how do you feel like you're going to stretch yourself? If you are just kind of doing something you've done before, then what, you know, plus does that have for Adobe? Like it doesn't really give them a whole lot because they want to show that they can help you grow. And with the amount of resources Adobe has, you know, you definitely want to do that. Cool. And then after that, I always tell people, try to frame your project in terms of Adobe products. Right. So Natalie's.
And the program is 1 year. So like it's a 1 year.
It's a 1 year thing.
Okay, got it.
So Natalie, for example, is doing a series of sprints on how to make a more sustainable world, and she's using XD, which made sense because XD was in beta last year, and they really need, like, it's helpful to have like a spokesperson for that, and for her to be as talented as she is.
Cool. All right, so a couple more questions. I saw one that was kind of interesting. I thought I would take that, and it was about Photoshop, and it was I'm looking for the name of the person that asked it, but I remember the question anyway. It was like, how do you practice? Oh, here it is. It's from Joe. What's the best way to practice Photoshop? And I'll take a stab at it first, and Aundre, you're welcome to jump in. Literally, it's like anything else. You practice by trying to do what it is you're trying to do. So, for example, if you want to be a portrait retoucher in Photoshop, then you're just going to keep practicing retouching until you get better and better and better at it. If you're trying to be a compositor, putting multiple images together, you're just going to keep practicing until you get better and better and better at it. So your question almost answers itself. How do you get better, or how do you practice? You practice by practicing, by just watching tutorials, learning from others, reading books, however you best learn, but more importantly, actually trying to do the work that it is you're trying to do. And if there's something you're not happy with, try and improve that particular aspect of whatever it is you're trying to learn in Photoshop.
The first time I saw Photoshop, I was in high school in 2005. And I remember it very well. We were in a intro to journalism class, and some of the yearbook guys were in helping lay something out. And they opened it, and they're like, "Hey, Aundre, come check this out." And I remember being like, "What in the world am I looking at?" And so I think for a long time, until I got to a certain point in college, I would just only use Photoshop to do really basic things like dodge and burn and like do a little compositing. But the thing for me I just learned is like doing it with someone else and then making myself have to do it in that moment. Like until you have that pressure and the motivation to work, then I just feel like personally I don't get it done. So you need to just give yourself as many opportunities to work on it as possible. So if that's like you want a portrait retouch, then either find a photographer that needs to retouch their photos because they're taking photos of people that look like me and need to like lay it and fix it, or you take your own photos and you just practice. Tutorials are always tough for me because I just find it difficult to stay motivated. But you just motivate yourself by saying like I have to, like you create that urgency, and then you will learn from there.
Nothing like a deadline too. So like just setting yourself like I need to get these 50 photos done by Tuesday, you know, and then crank through it. All right, I saw another question about Lightroom Mobile, and it was more of a, hey, when's watermarking? Are we ever going to get watermarking in Lightroom Mobile? Maybe. All right, so maybe.
Anything over here?
Maybe not. Let's see. When will we see Project Lincoln in action? When it's ready.
What is Project Lincoln?
Project Lincoln was one of the things we sneaked at Max, I believe.
Ooh.
Hello from Senegal.
Yo, shout out to Senegal.
And all right, Aundre, back to you. So let's take a look at your work.
Cool.
And
yes.
We're going to take a look at some of your process and your editing.
Cool.
All right, so let's switch over.
We talked about the Residency a little bit, so I figured I should probably show you guys some of the stuff. My main project with the Residency, we all have multiple projects, but my main project is.
Sorry, the way you can set that down. If you
it's called. It's okay. It's called Stories from Here, and it's about how our sense of place impacts us, how we think about ourselves, and our perception. And I'm sorry to all of my great international friends. Also, shout out to Juan Pablo, already following me and saying that everyone should follow him too.
Cool.
I will not verify or deny that, but I will say that Terry White follows me.
Juan Pablo, I agree. Everyone should follow. Everyone should follow.
So when we scroll down, basically the way the project works is it is a portrait series. And I'm actually using Adobe Portfolio. If you guys...
Oh, did I see you something pop up there?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So real quick, Adobe Portfolio plug. Adobe Portfolio is actually great. Like, not actually like I'm shocked. Like, I just didn't really think about how it existed. And if you are a Creative Cloud member, you should at least take advantage of it for a project. So one thing I'm doing is all of these have rollovers that are GIFs, which, you know, show a little thing. A little energy, a little interest.
I have yet to see someone do that. That's pretty cool.
And I wanted to have motion, but I didn't want it to be like you load on the side.
Right,
You're like, oh my God!
Loading 50 videos now.
So I'm just going to give you guys a kind of a look at what the it lays out. So the way that my project works is I interview folks. I take their portraits. I take a video portrait of them, and then I also do an audio interview. And the whole point of it is to get a full view of what the person's like, what their sense of place was as a child, and then how they got to where they are today. And it's really interesting to see how we think about where we live, and why we choose there really impacts like how we think about other stuff. So Pisha is a great example. She's one of my favorite interviews. So right after I took these, actually, she had a breast reduction, which I normally would not talk about, but she talked about pretty openly. She talked about moving to Los Angeles and how important it was for her to like start over in her life, and how people always say it's this place where you grow to be more fake. But she feels like she's a much truer part of herself. So there's like a little intro, and I usually have a pull quote. This one's really long, but it actually works out really well. I'll read it because I think it's really funny. It's you can't run from your truth. For a long time, I tried to make peace.
Come over this way. You're
for a long time,
frame
I tried to make peace with this choice and be like, it's forever now. But you're supposed to replace these things, the implants, like every 10 years because they're not lifetime things. What am I going to do? Like have the surgery when I'm 45 and say, sorry, son, I know we talked about a trip to Hawaii, but mommy needs a new rack. So she's a great actress, and she just kind of talked about how LA has been a place for her to grow up, like work-wise and also like maturity-wise. So on Home is, you know, she talks about growing up and her family being in internment camps in World War II because she's half Japanese, and what that community was like, and how that kind of influenced the decision she made earlier in her life, and then how she's kind of broken out of that and like dealing with displacement now, which is stuff we all deal with as adults. So these are kind of how they work. There's interviews, and the very bottom of them always will kind of go from where they live before to where they are now, which is kind of a nice mix.
Cool.
Show you guys one more. This is a lovely woman named Cecilia who I interviewed.
And these are just people you interviewed or met
and interviewed.
Okay.
And so I picked certain cities. I've done Austin, San Antonio, El Paso, Los Angeles, Providence, New Haven, Chicago, and I'm doing some in my home place of Brooklyn. And this was a really powerful story because being in the south part of Texas, really listening to people's perceptions about what it's like to be on the border was really powerful. Hearing someone just say like, no, this is what it's actually like. You know, people talk about how El Paso is this like dangerous area, but like, no, it's actually one of the safest areas in America. So I don't know, it's really fun and positive, but more importantly, I feel like it's a way for me to make art out of listening, if that makes sense. Which is something that I think we need more of. And then she was nice enough to let me take a photograph her and her entire family. We talked about NAFTA, and then she proudly showed me images of everyone in her life.
Very cool.
So that's a little bit of my project. Do we have any questions before we go on? Probably not.
I'm not seeing any project related. You can look at the ones on YouTube. I'll check the ones here on Facebook. And just more about... All right, feature request, bug requests, bug fix requests, feature putbacks. All right.
Okay.
Nothing so far on that.
I'm sorry to tell you guys, I am an Adobe employee, I guess, but I can't do it. I mean, I'm only past Terry, not future Terry yet. I can't do the cool stuff.
You can do cool stuff. I saw something that you were going to show earlier.
So I do want to. So one thing I wanted to do is kind of show you guys where I was work-wise. Right before the residency. I've been getting that question a lot on Instagram. I'm getting DMs from people because it's getting close to that application time. So I just wanted to show you guys the exact moment in time. So I actually, this was right around the new year. I took this image, I remember, and I actually got in a ton of trouble because we got confetti all over the street. Like,
I was going to say,
like,
is that like
so much confetti?
Well, you know, because it's hard to tell now when you see an image like that. It's like, well, is that just a filter you put on it, or is it something you did? So that's actual photograph.
It was a laughable amount. Like, like this police officer was like, "Why did you guys do this?" And I was like, "Well, you know." Then we left. So yeah, I was home. Okay, so right after I was home, I got to work on this Levi's project with their commuter jeans, which we'll talk about.
Wait. You got to just work on the Levi's project.
Oh, well, I'm gonna walk through it.
He just says that so casually.
I'm gonna walk through it.
Like, don't you? Like,
I'm gonna walk through it. Just taking a second to appreciate how beautiful my friend Eric is, and I blew his face out. But it was all about like being in the city and how Levi commuters is all for people that bike. So when I got the email about the residency to learn more about it was right when I was shooting Fashion Week, which is a new experience for me. So here's actually, 6 images of Fashion Week.
Matt, who says very cool pictures over on YouTube.
Dude, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Bendu. I'm so sorry. I thought you were talking about a different person. Oh, Jack has a question that looks confusing. I don't know what that means. Max update 2017? Is it 2017 still?
No, 2018.
Okay. So basically, I was at Fashion Week. And if you guys... I'm sure some of you were like, man, Fashion Week would be so fun. I'm kind of like a lame person, and Fashion Week was very stressful for me. There was just a lot of people and like hoopla for like 10-minute shows. But I got to work on it with Tumblr, and it was super fun. I got to take these great photos of these like really interesting looking people.
All right, you're getting props over here too. Kay says, loves your creativity.
Thank you. And so I got to spend a lot of time like kind of seeing how Fashion Week was working. But at this point, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was working on a couple different things, but I was just kind of doing the freelance thing and spending a lot of time at my house. So when the residency came, it was at a good time. And I don't want you guys to think I like wasn't doing anything like particularly good or bad, but I get the question of like, how did you get to work with Adobe stuff? One of the Adobe Creative Cloud folks reached out to me to let me know it existed. They saw my work during Fashion Week, and so here's some of the Fashion Week stuff. Now, since you guys see some of the finals, I'm going to show you guys a couple more of the Fashion Week stuff. We're going to actually go and look at some like edits of things, but I just wanted to give you guys kind of a taste into what it was like there. So we're just going to grab a couple finals. So this day for Fashion Week, each day at Fashion Week I decided I was going to try a different like style. So this day I tried to do like a very paparazzi, like very hot flash thing, which I never ever do and think it looks kind of bad. But honestly, it was really fun.
But it works for this.
Yeah. It works, and it's like the rooms were kind of orange and yellow, and like there were like a lot of really pale, emaciated people. Mm-hmm. So I tried to make things. I realized I went way too fast there.
Was that just on camera flash, or what were you doing?
Okay. So what I did was I basically was trying to bounce the flash based on where we were. So behind there was a white door similar to this one, and I just bounced it off of that to get kind of this fuller flash, which is a pretty basic technique. I'm sure Terry's already shown you, but if you are like me and don't use artificial light as well, you always just want to make a larger source of light, almost like you're using the sun. But it was really fun. The very last show I shot that night was called Telfair, and they used like New York street kids. Mm-hmm. So unlike a lot of the other shows, they just let us do whatever backstage. So I was just like grabbing people, doing whatever I wanted, and it was actually really nice because they had a lot of really beautiful dark skin, and I got to like it absorbed the light a little bit better, so I got to really like mess around and just like make some really pleasant stuff. This kid looks kind of like Jesse Eisenberg. Yeah. But yeah, so it was actually really interesting. Like, I was working on this, and I used to be a journalism major, so a lot of the reason, like how I shoot, is based on the photojournalism I learned before. But like, there was nothing like seeing the joy on kids' faces that just modeled for the first time. Cool. So this is some of that final stuff I told you guys about. You guys are gonna make fun of me, but I don't care. I'm gonna show this to you actually. One of the days I did Terry's probably least favorite thing was mess with these prisms, which is kind of fun for a day. There was this really like kind of weird. It was like a fairy tale. It was a fairy tale themed show. Okay. So I was like, I'm gonna use a prism for this, and I'm gonna like do all this kind of funky stuff since they have all these like glitter shimmery things. And I honestly was just trying to make myself not bored.
You know what though? But I appreciate that because you're doing the kind of stuff that I don't do because sometimes I'm just afraid to step out of that box. of stuff that I always do. So it's cool to see you. Like you said, you got bored. You just wanted to try different things.
So yeah, each day I tried different stuff, and this last day was, you know, when people like old people joke about New York, they're like, "This is the center of debauchery." I went to this show that was as. Do you see this?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But it was super fun. Like, there was so much going into it, and I just had myself lean into the weirdness and ask them to just perform for me. And it was this really pleasant thing. There were like people on random horses.
Let me take your picture and you perform for me, and they're okay with that.
Yeah, they didn't care. They were already dressed
I see.
wild. They didn't care. Yeah. All right, so let's get out of that. One of the things, so we talked about my project. This is a great example of what my project was like. So before I had my project, I actually worked on this thing with some of my friends called the Americans, that we now call Newcomers. And it's a project about how people's families immigrated from the U.S. So I took portraits of people like I normally do in a studio, which for me is not normal. And I had them describe how their family got here. So we had some really interesting stuff. Like we had a girl talk about how her family won the lottery in Poland. I was like, I'm sorry, what?
The lottery? Or
no,
like the come over here lottery.
Visa lottery.
The visa lottery, okay.
And it was really powerful. So it was just really interesting to hear someone just sit and talk about, you know, what it meant to leave their whole family behind. Do this one. No. So yeah, basically this isn't new for me to take portraits of people and then tie them with stories because it's really important to me.
You know, we got software to browse photos like this.
I know I do.
Just mess with.
Well, no, I didn't want to open it up.
He's on my computer.
I'm on his computer. Right. I normally use Lightroom.
Normally use me in Lightroom. So if you're appalled by his Finder work, it's because he's on my computer.
Oh, what's up, Rob Strickland? Yo, Rob Strickland's the homie. I appreciate that you would even take time. Rob Strickland is the GOAT. I appreciate him dearly. All right, so I opened this up just so you guys can kind of get a taste. First of all, obviously we're in camera raw. That's why all the cool people do it. Yeah. So the way I set this up was up here there was a hair light that was a couple feet behind the model in front of this backdrop, obviously. And then we just had a large single light here. We might have had a fill. I don't remember.
All right. So you double clicked on that raw file. It opened up in camera raw in Photoshop.
Yes.
I'm doing the education part.
Oh, please do
it. Now what?
Now I'm just going to run through some things that I would normally look for when I'm editing an image.
Perfect. That's what I want
to do. So first of all, for me, we had to use this yellow stool that I hated. So what I'll probably do, since I don't want to crop his hand out, is I'm going to burn over this.
Yep.
But for right now, I just want to address that in case anyone's like, yo, this guy's trash. My first thing is this blue's a little blue, so I would desaturate just a little bit. And then I would honestly play with my shadows because I want to kind of give him a little bit of mystery. Does anyone have any questions that I'm missing? Should I?
Oh, let's see. How long do you usually spend on a project?
It depends on the project. Oh, my girlfriend's in here. She said hi to your floating heads in the corner.
Oh, I saw the comment.
Hey, babe. Sorry, our heads are floating. We actually are no longer, we don't have bodies anymore. We just live on the internet.
Yeah, because his shirt's got some green in it, so you are kind of like, you're floating in and out. And yeah, come on, there you go. Yeah, come into the frame. There we go.
Next to Terry.
Yeah.
Terry is a personal space thing. I'm trying to respect
That's okay. No, you can come in.
No, on the project, it depends. So on the Levi stuff, basically, which we'll look at in a minute, I just talked to them. We agreed on some models, and then we just went and shot it, and then I sent it to them, and we talked about it more. Personally, if I could, I would rather just have an art director there because I really hate back and forth emails with people I don't know that well because it's like can be tough. So like I work with American Express sometimes, and the art director comes every time.
How you just throw out these
it's not
these names. No, Levi's, American Express.
It's not. No, the Levi's thing was no. Okay, hold on. So the it's always great with Amex because they always have the art director there, so there's no confusion about what you're getting. You just sometimes.
All right. I'm going to interrupt you. How do you get to work for American Express?
Okay, the American Express thing is like it is. I honestly, one of my old roommates, he worked at when we started to move to New York. He worked at Ogilvy, like running data.
Ogilvy's an ad agency.
Yep. And then he worked really hard making gifts for American Express, and they put him on the account. And then when he was trying to pitch an idea, I gave him some ideas about it, and he was like, "Why don't you just work on the project?"
Cool. I love it. All right.
Levi's, I reached out to them because I really liked the commuter series. The thing that I think is really great about social, as it is with you and to talk to Terry, is you can take the time to reach out to people and give them, they have more examples of your work. So I reached out to Levi's and mentioned to them that I really enjoyed their commuter series and the art direction from it. And they were like, "Oh, well, we have this new thing coming up. Well, we want to kind of document some New York commuters. Would you be interested in it?" And then we worked together on that. And then the CNN stuff, they just reached out to me. I had I think it was either the Residency or Essence Magazine did like a favorite black photographers or something like that. And they liked it. But honestly, most things that I get is talking to people in person. Like no one has any reason to, like, a lot of people are really talented on the internet.
So you're not waiting by the email or the phone. You're out.
Yeah,
making it happen.
Yeah, so you're going to Max and you're not being weird. You're not being like, "Hey Terry, like I watched your live stream." No, you're coming prepared if you know you want to talk to somebody, and you're giving examples of what they did successfully. So awesome. Like I got to meet the Warriors guys. Rob Zilla introduced me to them, and I mentioned to them how great their numbers. Sorry, I could fully like lose my brain on this. Losing their what was the campaign? I can't believe I'm forgetting this. It's Strength in Numbers. That's the campaign. So that was the year that they won their second championship with the Steph Curry dynasty. And they basically talked about how the whole point of the campaign was like the numbers of the community, the numbers of the team, and how everyone is striving toward this thing. And it became this really powerful ad, and this really powerful thing all the way through. And I came and I knew I wanted to talk to them about that. So when you step in and you know what you're talking about, people are kind of interested. Cool.
All right. So, a question. We're gonna get back to that. Yeah. Kofi's asking, well, why is it just Creative Residency? Why is it just U.S., Canada, and Germany? It started out just U.S.,
America.
Then it went to Canada. Then it went to Germany. So, just like anything else, it has to grow. We don't start off in all the countries of the world because it's just too hard to manage. So, if it's not in the country you're in, stay tuned. I can't promise it will ever be in your country, but it's a program that evolves.
I mean, I guess I would say I'm under the impression they read most of the applications, and I guess if it's, or all of them. So if it is particularly compelling, I can't imagine they would say like no.
But it also has to be, there has to be staff on the Adobe side to manage someone in that country. So that's it's not just how come we're eliminating it. It's because there are resources required to make it happen as well.
Oh, let me talk a tiny bit about that. So weekly, I have one-on-ones with usually there's with the program director, and then we also have internal mentors at Adobe that spend time helping us kind of cultivate the project. So the idea is like it's almost like a grad school thing. You have people that you're accountable to, and then with that, it's a little easier to continue to work well. So
cool. All right,
Kofi agrees with you.
Continue on the editing.
So if you guys don't know, Terry has the coolest house. I want to live here. So I usually would play with this contrast just to kind of see what happens. So that's a little bit flatter on the negative, obviously. So as I bring it up, I'm seeing that because I used that hair light, I'm still getting separation, and because of the color of this, I'm still getting separation from here. And it's giving me some more definition, which I like. Right now, I dislike that this was not ironed, and obviously in the later images, you guys will see that I got rid of that. And then it depends on the person, but with this person, Genevieve, bringing the highlights down a little bit gives the image, like, generally, I don't know about you, but you always look at the lightest part of the image.
Yep. So that's human nature.
Oh.
Hold on. Yep, there you go. Our eyes are drawn to the lightest part of an image by default.
So, see, now I learned the hot corners. So we've already kind of flattened it down a little bit. So it's a little bit darker over here, especially his face is a little bit darker than it was, which I really like. And then I actually wanted you, before I started using this, to describe how clarity works.
Clarity is like, actually the nickname for it used to be punch, because it just adds more punch to the photo. So it's like a combination of contrast and sharpness, and just contrast and sharpness probably be the easiest two to put together. So I used to use clarity on almost all my images. And then at one point, the algorithm changed and I didn't like what it was doing to women or subjects that should be softer. So I stopped using it for everything, and now I use it primarily for guys, primarily for landscapes and objects. Oh. So, but things that I don't want to be, or I want to keep soft, I don't use it.
So, I mean, if we want to be really intense.
Yeah, for this, I would use it.
Bring it up a little bit so we can see.
And also, you know, that's another thing I was going to say. If you're using clarity on like an adjustment brush and you use negative clarity, you can actually use it for like skin softening.
So we're back at 0. Obviously, the negative makes it softer.
Yep.
The positive, he's saying, so it's giving this detail that will kind of look rougher on women, but see it come out, it kind of gives it a little bit of a weight to it. And then I would honestly kind of play with blacks a little bit, bring it down, kind of go against it. Really, I'm trying to make this area a little bit darker. And then later, or maybe I can do it now. I might come over and see what the saturation of the blue is and see if I can take it down a little bit. Just because I don't want to distract from the image. So this deep blue I like, but I actually like, I generally wouldn't do this, but I like this desaturation because it really kind of draws attention to this flag and it makes you think about what's necessarily happening in this image. So we got that. I'm not split toning. We don't have time for all that today. And then let's go ahead and open this. How it is. And like I told you guys, I'll get this later. I would definitely going to burn into this little corner. Just zoom. I use a trackpad now, honestly.
Actually, there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Or you were asking about this. That'll do it too.
Oh, no, I meant...
oh, you mean zoom the image? Here, we can turn on touch.
Oh.
We
got the super Wacom in here, or Wacom, is that what we say it?
Wacom. I say Wacom.
Wacom tablet.
Oh, no, I made it disappear. Oh. All right, slow it down. It's really fast.
This is awesome.
All right,
I fully support being in the future. Look, we're like on that wall.
Here. Let's do this. Let's get it back up. There we go. And this is two-person Photoshop.
This is the best way to do it.
There you go.
All right, so this tiny bit of yellow, which I don't, maybe you didn't see, but I will forever hate
Well,
it.
I wouldn't have saw it until you pointed it out, but then I would have saw it later and criticized you.
So here we can see it's already pretty dark, so we can get away with it. I just needed to make sure I don't mess with his hand. So.
And you're on the burn tool, I see.
Yeah. So let's just see what it looks like here, how it is. Okay. So maybe I don't love that. So I can go to the shadows, make this much higher, and then see how it acts or reacts. Yeah.
There you go.
So let me knock this out. Oh, come back. And normally you can't just go this dark, but based on this little sampling over here, it actually makes sense. So now.
And there are a million ways to do these kinds of things. Yes. So for example,
what's another way?
First way I would have thought about is either cloning or patching it out, but just making it darker so it doesn't show and make it blend in with the light that's already there. Why not?
Oh, yeah, I got too aggressive with it.
Yeah, that's hard. Okay, here, let's try this. It's really an aggressive zoom. So here, let me.
This is like that new. Have you guys seen that super zoom on Instagram? Have you not used it yet?
No.
Super zoom on Instagram is the funniest thing that's ever existed.
Here, let's just go Command 0 again. There we go.
So now we got rid of that. Now we have a dramatic image that clearly lets people know we're talking about the flag.
Now I got a question. Just
go ahead.
From my own, just looking at this. Mm-hmm. What this image is begging me to do, and again, I know you shot this for a specific purpose, so that's why I'm asking, is just bump up the exposure a little bit, or no, you want to keep it this dark?
No. I'm going to bump it up a little bit, but first, I was going to look at his face and see if there's anything that clarity had caused that maybe I want to just kind of heal out. So, make a new layer. I am really bad about naming layers. I don't know if you're really good at it.
I try to teach people to be good at it.
All right. So what would you do?
What I teach and what I do, or might be two. It depends on what you're going to do with it. What are you going to put on it?
I was just going to go and look at his face and see if there's anything that we want to pull
face. Face is easy.
Okay. So, yeah.
Hot corner.
I know.
I should turn them off for guests.
No, don't turn it off. That's actually, I think that my hot corner for that is in a different corner.
Got it.
That's why I'm confused. I moved it from the left for that reason. Wait, do we have any questions before we continue this?
Someone just learned who Aundre is. Great.
Ooh, thank you, F.A. Vince.
What is this acceleration graphic card on Photoshop? It's a Wacom Cintiq with touch, so it's very sensitive on the pinch to zoom.
Acceleration graphic card.
Right.
Yeah, he has Nas in here. The thing, Nitrous, not Nas the rapper. If Nas the rapper was here, we would not be.
Well, we wouldn't be streaming. Well, we would be,
but it wouldn't be
a different stream.
Okay, so what were we doing? I'm trying to remember. How do I zoom normally?
I don't know. What do you do? I usually use
do
keyboards.
I do...
You can do. Yep,
there we go. That's what I normally do.
Okay.
All right. So he has a beautiful face. Let me be clear. It's a very handsome man.
Very beautiful man.
But let's just go ahead and get rid of any random distracting things. So.
And you also have a stylus or the pen there if you want to use that too.
Oh, I've never used the pen.
Yes, got that. We have a new Wacom Convert.
So I'm on.
You're on the spot healing?
Spot healing, so I shouldn't have to.
Well, it's pressure sensitive, so the harder you press, the bigger it'll be.
Did that work?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'm.
Zone content aware.
Oh, sample all layers.
Oh, you're on that. Yeah, okay.
I was like,
I was gonna say you're on that blank face
something
layer.
Something is not working.
Right,
all right, here we go. So that's a super important thing. When you use a layer on top, make sure you sample all layers, or it's just gonna continue to do what I was doing. Right. Just click with nothing. Another learned lesson I had. So I'm here. Go over that. Now it's gone. If you want proof, there's a tiny little pimple. Now it's gone. I personally am not a big fan of getting rid of people's beauty marks because I just don't think it's important. But just getting rid of things that I think would distract from the image.
Yep.
So that little guy, this little guy, and then I actually was gonna ask you for this. How do you decide if and how to kind of do? Everyone has raccoon eyes because no one sleeps.
It's also a lighting thing too.
Yeah.
Because if the lighting's coming from above, and it will automatically make this darker.
Yeah.
Then it really is, right?
So, what would you normally do?
Well, it depends. So here, let's do this.
I was just gonna dodge a tiny bit. And
you could So again, a million different ways to do it. What I like to do is, in a lot of cases, is completely take something away and dial it back in. That way, I can control how much of it comes back.
There we go.
So that's my typical approach for it, but it just really depends. So you're talking about this right here?
Yeah, let's just say we wanted to just.
So if I want to get rid of that, we're on that layer. So I would perhaps take the patch tool, and I would. Now it's going to look fake at first because I'm going to get rid of all of it.
Yeah, obviously, Terry.
And so we'll just patch that down, and now it's again that's the fake part. But what you can do, as long as you don't deselect, go to your edit menu, and come down to. Oh shoot! I deselected by mistake. Hold on.
Don't do the thing he just told us not to
do.
Okay,
hit. Command Z. All right, hold on. Sorry. Because I had touch still on, so let's turn touch off. There we go. All right, so let's go up to the edit menu. And when you come down to edit, as long as you haven't deselected, you will have fade patch selection. So in other words, I took it completely away. If I go to fade, I can now get a slider to bring back all of it or as much of it as I want. So that way I can dial it in to taste. And this about 40 is where I would probably put this one because I'm bringing some of it back, but I got rid of 60. I like to say I got rid of 60% of it. So that's the way I would do it.
Cool. Oh, you can click. I forgot. We fancy out here. Right. We got touch screens. People out here living.
But you will only get that fade patch as long as it's still selected. Once you deselect it, it's gone. It's gone for good.
So what were you going to ask me? Oh, if I was going to bring it up? Yeah. I honestly, what is the dark part that bothers you? For me, I was going to bring his face up a little bit here.
The face to me actually looks okay. It's more this is starting to, I can't see what's going on there. Right.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see what happens if we let's see what happens if I bring up this. Oh, This gray.
Yeah. See, like the collar of that jacket was completely gone when it was dark, that dark.
So I just opened levels up and then moved the gray point so that we could see it. So see, this is tricky. I actually really like the detail on his jacket, but I also enjoy how his body looks. Let me get rid of this for a second. Dark. So then I have to ask myself, what am I trying to do here? For me, I might. What did I end up doing? Let's see.
Looking for the same guy. Is that him? No,
Yeah, I ended up just going
photo.
dark, but similar thing. We just ended up going. Yeah, we just ended up going dark because I wanted to.
And that's why before I brought up the exposure, I didn't know what you were aiming for. So if that's what you're aiming for, then you got it.
Yeah, I thought it felt a little more intimate, but I do agree, and that's something that I personally struggle with because I'm always trying to achieve a black that I think is rich. But it is really important to not just darken all hell out of things and then make it kind of difficult to see. TNS questions before we look at some other random thing on my Z-axis? No, I don't know what that means. Oh, Mike, can you not hear me? I'm sorry that.
Yeah,
all right, hold on.
If I could get around, I could probably turn it up, or maybe put it closer to you.
Put it right up here, next to my heart.
I see the
Can
levels
you guys hear me
now.
better?
Yep, I see the levels. You're good.
Okay, great. Do we have any questions on that side? Did we pull you down? Yeah, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask them. And then we will look at other things. Other things.
Masking areas.
We're taking Terry for all he's worth today.
Where is my? Oh, there it is. Let's see. All right, just props on the American Express work. Put layers in a layer folder or group so you don't have to name them.
I guess.
Cheating. Now you have just a folder with a bunch of layer 1, layer 2, layer 3.
Nah, you gotta. If you're gonna put it in a folder, you gotta name it. That's a rule. If I have more than 3 layers, you gotta name it. If I'm just messing around, I'm not naming anything.
Yep. All right. So I think that's it for questions.
Yeah, that's fine. So
I got a question. So how long do you spend on a typical retouch like that?
On that, well, for this one, it was really important because we'll go back and look at it. There were a lot of faces, and I just didn't want to have anything that was supremely distracting. Mm-hmm. So actually, there was one person in particular, this girl.
Let me guess, the hairs?
No, it wasn't the hairs. She just that day had a break. Yeah, this is it. She had a breakout.
Acne.
And then I had to pull these out just because it takes away from this image, and you see it, and your first thought is, oh my gosh, acne.
Bring that back up again.
Oh, okay.
Just that one. Yeah. So when it comes to when you're thinking what's okay to remove and what's not, my rule of thumb usually is, first of all, it depends on who's the client, but besides that, the general rule is if it's something temporary, like if that acne is going to be gone in 2 weeks, then take it out now. Mm-hmm. If you don't normally see that when you look at her,
and you don't,
then remove it, because having a bad acne hair day, whatever, shouldn't be something that's memorialized in a portrait or a photo. So if it's something that's not normally there, it's okay to remove. If it's something you're in doubt or question of, ask the subject. Yeah, like that mole, that beauty mark, that tattoo, whatever it is. If you're in doubt, always ask.
So if I got a face tattoo, you would or you would not edit it out?
That's gone. Yeah, I'm not even gonna ask. It's just gone.
Could you think you could edit out a face tattoo off my face?
Oh yeah.
Depending on what it is, though.
Depending on what it is. How intricate it is.
If it was nuts.
No, if I liked it, I'd keep it. But most likely it's gone.
I'm not getting a face tattoo, guys.
I don't think you are.
1,000% not going to happen. Okay, so let's look at something from Levi's that maybe that was let's see.
And we're already almost to the top of the hour, so.
Oh, all right. Well, then we'll hurry up.
And Kay's asking something about masking areas. I'm not sure what the full question is.
Okay, keep it going.
Yeah, so what do you mean by masking areas? And then you said, oops, sorry, Photoshop, not Photo Raw, not Photoshop. So I don't know if there was more to that question or not.
I'm going to try and pick something that I didn't do a super good job at.
Only show your best work.
Well, no, so we can talk about. Here, we'll look at this. Okay, so this image that I actually really like is a good example of I probably should have stopped down a little more, or I should have stopped down a little more here, so that you can see his skin better. Just because you can always.
But that actually looks pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, so you can, but I'm saying we could edit back to this and it would look a little better because it would stop down darker. So from here, like when you guys see what I mean, for stopping down, what I mean is, it would just give him a little bit. These highlights are a little bright for me. And then we can still obviously take this up a little bit. We waited to shoot this until sorry, I'm hitting all sorts of things on computers that aren't mine. Thank you guys for your patience. So for this, I actually, just out of curiosity, with photos like this, I always like to bring it up for a second just to see what's going on. Mm-hmm. And then say to myself, well, this might be something like a mask I do for the top half of this, and then keep the rest of this the temperature it is, or the color that it is. So this is a time when I would definitely use clarity because I want to make sure that I'm getting detail. And it's because it's a man. I'm cheating. Terry intelligently warned me not to.
Well, again, negative clarity on female subjects is great because it's going to soften. But you don't want to make skin that should be soft look hard.
It can exist a program this type of pipeline work for a pack of. Yeah, just use Lightroom, dude.
Or actions. If they're in Photoshop, if you want to repeat the same steps over and over again, you can use an action in Photoshop, a droplet, a folder action, or Lightroom if it can be batch processed in Lightroom.
I remember when I first learned about actions. Who shot me? Who shot me? I hope you're not dead, bro, because that would be weird if you were streaming. Why are all these all JPEG and not RAW being worked on? Isn't using this method destructive?
This is a RAW.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, that was distracting. Does anyone over there have a question? Sorry, iPhone photo RAW masking areas. Terry has practice with presence. Has more practice with presence. I mean, he is future Terry, and I am past Terry. So I will take that.
The other way around.
No, I am past Terry, and you're future
past,
Terry.
Okay.
So yeah, I would take the highlights down here for a second. See, okay, so.
Oh yeah, okay, I see what you mean.
So now. I like this. So I now know when I start, I'm gonna leave this here, and I'm just gonna brighten up here. So I'm gonna leave this here, and then I'm actually gonna see how this looks with contrast. And
that's night and day.
And then now we're gonna go in and we're gonna mess. So this entire top part, I'm gonna bring up a little bit by just using a layer mask, like an adult. or
adjustment brush.
Oh,
because you could do it non-destructively if you did it here in camera raw with the adjustment brush.
Okay.
So either way, again, this is what we mean by Photoshop. There's literally 2 to a million different ways to do something. So we just talked about 2 ways. It could be 10 ways. It just really depends on what is easier for you.
Losing mics in here.
Losing mics. Sorry.
I'm back. Don't worry. Kofi was worried. I'm sorry. Okay, so.
So if you wanted,
it's up here.
Yep, I believe I always forget which one's which. Yep, that one. And so now you can set that brush to like lighten just the area you're going to paint on.
Now this is actually better with this pen than with this, but let's see. Oh wait,
no, it's doing it.
Let's make you a little bit bigger.
And you might want to bump the exposure up a little bit because you can always turn it back down.
So yeah, we got a little bit more city. I'm going to turn this down just because this looks like unnatural.
Yeah, so sometimes you exaggerate the edit so you can see that you covered all the areas, and then you can dial it down to taste.
Okay, so, and I actually really like this because you guys see, in case you were like me not that long ago, you didn't know, the exterior of this circle shows you where it tapers off. It's like a feather, and in the middle is where it's strongest. It's almost similar to a hurricane in that way.
Very good analogy.
Okay, so from here, I'm going to break this back down a little bit because that's 145 is kind of a lot. And then now we can see what we look like. Can we do before and after in RAW?
I believe so. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I just never remember where it is.
because I only use it in Lightroom.
Yeah, it's there. I just don't use it. I don't use Camera Raw enough to remember. That is not it. It's down here, I believe. Yeah, before and after.
Yeah, so you guys can see we worked on this.
So that's the before.
Worked on this.
That's the.
Oh, you're gonna go back down here.
Yeah, you moved the mouse. Okay, that's the after.
So you can see we have this detail on top that just brings in a little bit. So you know it's New York. You knew it was New York before, but it's a little bit clearer. And then here you just really see his face. You get a little bit of the bike, and it has that spirit. And then yeah.
By the way, on the previous image, Kay says she likes the wrinkles in the flag.
Ooh, thank you, Kay. Do you like the wrinkles on our face? Because we don't have any because we're so young.
Oh, there you go.
I'm playing. But really, though, Terry is ageless.
No, I'm not. I feel it every day.
When's your birthday?
May 30th.
May 30th.
Right. See, by him being this close to me, I'm like sucking some of the youth out of him. Just...
By the time it's over, we're going to be the
I'm
same
gonna wake
age.
Up, he's going to wake up 10 years older than we're all going to wake up 10 years younger.
Honestly, that actually sounds more terrifying than I thought it would. Oh, man. What are some things? Americans, I showed you guys. Immigration, I showed you guys. Levi's. We'll do one really quick one again. I did this when I used to work at Walker & Company. I worked for like a health and beauty company. And I remember I did these when I really didn't know what I was doing. Just had this black backdrop and some natural light. But then, where's this image I'm looking for? Where are you at? Is it this? Yeah, there we go. With that dripping aloe. Aloe is gross. If you ever tried to shoot with it before,
I tried to shoot with it. I tasted it.
It's a mistake. Oh, did I just
still got that one up? Yep, down on that one.
Okay.
And there you are. Okay.
So this one I liked. This one we honestly already have some good black here, but the first thing I would do is really. Oh, I'd already played with this.
All right. You want to know what's bugging me about this
What?
image? There's one minor thing. Is that
What?
table blue or black? Like,
It's
is that
all-
supposed
it's all
to be
black.
blue? Okay, so it's bugging me just a little bit on the white balance here. Yeah.
There we go.
That's more the color it should be.
Yeah, so first I had to do that.
Yeah.
So let's say for a second, I didn't realize that I'd done before and after with this. I don't remember that I did all these things to it.
I can always reset them.
Yeah, so basically I took the highlights down, which I was going to do, up the contrast, took the whites down. So basically, if you can see from the front, this is just a little too bright and it wasn't too true to color. So I just kind of worked on that, and then I used the clarity. And the clarity was nice because it really kind of accentuated this little drip, which was, it seems like I knew what I was doing, but I 1,000% did not. And Terry did have the last piece that really made that white balance work properly. When you selected it just now, you clicked right on the black. Usually I pick the white point.
Well, normally when you're clicking the white, so here, let's reset this. No, I'm looking for the keyboard, it's not here. Reset. All right. So when I saw this image pop up, and just because I'm used to looking at digital images this way, and you said it up front, this was all on a black background. So the first thing I saw was, wait, if this were a black background, why is the table blue? So when you're using the white balance eyedropper, which you'll find in Photoshop, Raw, Lightroom,
Maybe even British, I don't even know.
Yeah, so normally you're looking for something that's around 18% gray. That's what you should be clicking on. If the photo doesn't have anything that's 18% gray, then that's when you kind of go to what should be white or what should be black. So since the table should be black, that's why I went to it first. I could have probably clicked on this silver inside the cap here, and that kind of worked. That made it a little warmer than probably I wanted, but that's probably more like it was. So,
and you actually said something. Oh, wow.
That's going to cost you.
Sorry, guys.
I want to call center number before you leave.
But something you said the first time, not the first time we met, but the first time we worked on something together, was when you were showing the executive experience to Lightroom people. You talked about how even though we want to white balance perfectly, we always should err on the side of
what looks better
for skin tones for people, because especially if it's a really blue person, it can be if you make a person really blue, cold, they can look very dead.
Not live, yeah.
That is terrifying. Like who shot me, who I'm still worried about, hasn't responded. But yeah, so adding this actually made it warmer.
And if you don't have anything to click on with the white balance tool, you can always just adjust the temperature manually. So if that was still too cold or too warm, then you can just show them, use the slider, warm it up some more, or cool it off some more.
Wow,
that's horrible. Yeah. right there, right in there. To me, looks like but you know what the original looks like, so you would be the ultimate judge of it,
which is great. And then, I don't think you were the person, but someone I know would always told me before every shoot to shoot a color card. I don't always do that. I always forget.
I don't always do it either. It depends on where I am. If I'm I'm in my studio every time I'm shooting, so I kind of know what the white balance would be. But if you shoot a color card or gray card, then that just gives you that 18% to click on.
Cool. So we ran through some images that I took. We don't need to look at this anymore. We looked at some of the stuff I was doing during my residency. I got to shoot the NCAA tournament, which was super fun. This is actually one of my favorite photos I've ever taken. These guys were so excited when they won.
Cool.
There's just so much.
Now, were you on assignment, or you just took a cool photo?
On the assignment.
Okay.
No. They wouldn't let you on the court.
Dude, I don't know.
They
I don't know.
Literally tase you that score guard if you try to run up on them.
I don't know who you know, so that's why I had to ask.
So yeah, and then a lot of the things we do for the residency is we write about things that we learned. So like I did this stuff last week for the Brooklyn Academy of Music that were these gel portraits for this dance group. And I just talked about how it was foolish of me to not use a backdrop here, but they really wanted me to use the background, but then mixing those without a dark backdrop made this kind of purple that was really distracting outside of the image itself, because I do like how this generally sits on the person. And then if you guys pop in and see any of my work either here or on Twitter or whatever, you'll see me posting a lot about stories from here, which is my project.
So where do you post mostly? Instagram?
Instagram, yeah. Yep. And Instagram is just my first name. And we're working on getting Terry at Terry, but we got some people to talk to first.
Got a lot of people got to pay off.
Yeah, and then I do try to work on some things I don't know. Toward the back end of my residency, I'm gonna be working on some video stuff. So I worked on this like stupid freelance thing the other day with my friends. No, we're cutting that. That's too loud. But just trying to see what happens when freelancing is basically this really thing I only do with cameras I don't like anymore, where you open the mirror and then just move a lens nearby it just to see how it works. And I liked it because it made this really interesting transition between focus and out of focus that was like soft and kind of cool. So I will definitely use it when I'm doing like maybe a portrait video in the future.
Very cool.
But yeah, the whole thing is just about like writing about things that I learned. Getting to shoot these ballerinas, like all these different things were good because.
All right, so
yeah, the project's about learning. Residency, great. Terry White's great.
I love your work, but actually, I have a newer appreciation for your work. Hearing you explain the process behind it.
Thank you, man.
So that's why I'm happy Aundre was able to come today for this, because you can look at someone's photographs and okay, that's you like the girl standing there, that's cute, that's your ballerina. But when I hear you talk about what you were thinking at the time you shot it, how you were composing it, and what you were playing with the camera, the settings, or the lens, that I get more out of than just looking at the work itself.
I think it makes you guys feel better. I will do my very best to. I'm always on this podcast from now. Oh, not podcast. This live stream.
Live stream. Yeah.
I'm here,
and I can bring you in remotely. So
coming back
bring you in from
popping in. You guys are gonna be like, "Yo!" I got a webcam and all sorts of stuff. But I will be back. But more importantly, guys, thank you for taking the time. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I just used tutorials. My old gaming tag. Oh no, I'm not worried. You're not actually dead. Wait, are you on Instagram with Who Shot Me 25? That's great. I fully support that. But yeah, man. Closing things when the residency application comes out. If you have questions,
Kay is now following you on Instagram.
Thank you, Kay. If you have any weird questions about the residency at all, reach out to me. This is one of the few things I know more about than Terry, which is incredible. And my goal is to up that from 1 to 6 before the year is over. So I'm going to be studying.
Dude, you only got a
East
couple
Asia
months.
studies. Not Teslas, though. But yeah, that's it. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Well, thank you for joining us.
Dude, thank you.
So they can get in touch with you with the Twitter handle that's down here and
Instagram,
at
Facebook.
Aundre on Instagram. If you want to follow me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram. He has more followers than me. That's not fair.
Terry.
At Terry Lee White.
Terry Lee White.
Follow me. But follow Aundre, especially to see the cool work here.
Great. And then residency comes out, apply to it, look at the other residents' work. Once again, if you have questions, just Google Adobe Creative Residency. And you can look at pictures of all these cool people. And yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys.
All right, cool. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for watching. And
Bye.
we will catch you on the next one. Tomorrow, actually, is what, Thursday?
What are you doing tomorrow?
So tomorrow I will be on the Lightroom channel on Facebook. So I'll be talking about the new select mask range, the new mask range selection cool feature on Lightroom Classic CC. So
cool.
Facebook.com/ I believe it's /Lightroom at 1 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. And Aundre, what will you be doing next that they can see you at?
What will I be doing next?
Like, where are you going to be next?
That's a good question. For the first time since the
like
residency
you just
started,
home for the holidays.
For the first time since the residency started, I'm going to be in my actual bed for more than a week.
Wow.
I'm excited. No, I might be in Hawaii next month, actually.
All right, we're all flying out to Hawaii to see him.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's see him at work.
And if not, toward the end, right before holiday season, or Christmas, I don't know, like whatever your holidays are, I think I'm gonna do another train trip where I'm gonna do, I think, probably Baltimore, and a couple other places on the way down before I end in Florida, just to add some more portrait stuff. Totally. Right. Terry's coming.
We gotta hang out and do like go somewhere and shoot.
Oh man, yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, we gotta do it.
All right, bye guys.
Bye everybody. Cheers. Take care. All right, we're gonna stop the stream now. Bye.
Okay. Bye.